Good day, good afternoon, good evening, good middle of the night if you're listening in California. This is Pompey Sound, and here comes the very latest updates from Fratton Park for today, which is Thursday, the day before Norwich, April the whatever it is. A couple of stories, quite interesting. They're trying to destabilise Cade Gordon at Norwich because he was there before he came to us. They don't want him to score a hat-trick against us. What else? We're talking about football agents. We're talking about the referee for the Watford game. Anyway, here comes the news.
Pompey Sound, your hourly update from Fratton Park. Sponsored by Piglet's Pantry, the home of award-winning and handmade food on the South Coast.
Pompey loanee Cade Gordon faces a potential reunion with former club Norwich City on Good Friday. The Blues travel to the winger's former stomping ground, Carrow Road, in search of crucial league points as they remain in a dogfight at the wrong end of the championship table. But it's a meet-up that remains nothing more than a possibility, with the on-loan Liverpool youngster far from guaranteed to be included in John Mousinho's matchday squad for the game against the Canaries. After being involved in every matchday since joining the Blues until the end of the season on transfer deadline day, but used only 4 times as a substitute, the 20-year-old didn't make the cut for last Saturday's 2-2 draw with Derby County. Former Anfield teammate Harvey Blair was instead preferred, as he made a rare appearance on the Blues team sheet. And with no injury issues reported, it suggests Gordon's omission came down to tactics for the Rams' visit to Fratton Park. With that in mind, it remains to be seen if the Wideman will make the trip to Norwich, where he featured just 10 times and scored a single goal over the first half of the season, before Johannes Hofthorup cut his frustrating stay short in January. Speaking after Gordon's Carrow Road departure, the Norwich boss said he remained a fan of the England under-20 international. Yet he just wanted more from him following his arrival from Liverpool. The Dane told Pinkin.com, "I rate him as a good player with a big potential. The situation with him is, when we bring a player in on loan, you expect more or less a performance from day one. If he was a player here on a long-term contract, I would be more than happy to work with him, because there is a player with potential. It was difficult because he came in, and that performance was not there from day one. We had to build him, physically and also tactically in the way we play. This league is so competitive, so physical, you can be prepared in some ways, but it is a completely different environment to youth football. It will take time. Some are good at more or less taking that step from day one. Others it takes longer, but with a lone player you need that step more or less from day one. I think for him it would be good to get game time for a season or 2 in one place."
You know what? You know what you can hear here, if you want to? You can hear a manager who is kind of saying, I let him go. God forbid he comes back here and scores a hat-trick against us. Because that will make me look extremely foolish, and that is the thing I am most guarded against. Yes, I want promotion. Yes, I don't want to have relegation. All of those things. Yes, I want to win the next match. Yes, I want to be lauded by the fans, but most of all, I do not want to be ridiculed for making a bad decision, any decision that I make. And it seems as though this guy, Hop, made the decision to let him go, let Gordon go, and try his luck somewhere else. We believe that he is fundamentally wrong in saying that when you borrow a player, you expect him to hit the ground running and perform exactly as you want him to and you need him to from day one. That never happens. Mate, maybe in Denmark, it doesn't happen over here, where our football league systems are different and better. We work with our loan players. John Mousinho has already achieved a great deal at Portsmouth, and amongst his achievements is bringing in loan players and working to get the best out of them down the road. You only have to turn 180 degrees, Mr. Hop, at Norwich and look up the coast at Hull, where there's a player called Abu Kamara who did not hit the ground running with Pompey. But we worked on him. The team worked on him. The coaching staff worked on him, worked with him, helped him, supported him, gave him the confidence, saw where he had the ability, helped him use that ability on the pitch. And when he left, it was a sad day for Pompey. It was a money thing. He obviously loved it here. He loved playing here. He had so many fans here, but agents will work their ways, and That's what they do, and good luck to them. But what I'm saying is that Pompey worked on him and brought him on. And we do that with loan players because loan players have to have that. It's completely unrealistic. And I'm surprised that a club like Norwich, who always have come across as being a good family club, a caring club, a club which knows how to nurture players and fans, should find themselves being represented by a manager who would say something so dumb, basically. It is dumb to say that you expect a loan player to be able to produce the goods right from day one. You want them to? Of course you do. But no, it's dumb to say that they should, and it's what you expect. And if they don't, then they will suffer for it. You hired the wrong bloke, but it's their fault. No, completely wrong. We respect Norwich enormously at Pompey. We like the club. We like the fans. We like everything about Norwich except destabilising a 20-year-old whose confidence has already been damaged by their experience at Norwich. Trying to destabilise his confidence before he turns out, but probably won't, as they say, for Pompey against Norwich on Friday is obtuse. As obtuse am I for a moment thinking that we were actually going to Norwich for this game. No, wait a minute, we are. So apologies for thinking for a moment that it was a home game, having known from the start that it was an away game, and then fleetingly had a crisis of confidence myself and corrected myself for something that was in fact accurate. And I'll shut up now because I'm going down another rabbit hole here. But Norwich, you should know better. Don't try and kick Gordon just because you couldn't get a decent kick out of him.
Sam Allison is to referee Pompey versus Watford. The ref, now in his 5th season officiating EFL matches, has quite a history with Pompey games, and not always a positive one. Former Blues manager Danny Cowley had a particularly memorable run-in with Allison during a 2022 EFL Trophy match at Crawley. After the 2-2 draw, which featured 2 controversial penalties, including one awarded after the ref slipped, Cowley didn't hold back. The scene at Broadfield Stadium that night was almost comical, with both benches laughing in disbelief at some of the decisions. Cowley was so frustrated he even confronted Allison in the parking lot after the match. "I think that was one of the worst displays of refereeing I've ever seen," Cowley said afterward. "Look, I like him as a person. He's a good guy. But I have to be honest about what I saw tonight. We need better for the sake of the game." The controversy didn't end there. This February, Allison was again in the spotlight during Pompey's 1-0 loss to Luton. Blues supporters were outraged when clear handball and foul calls went ignored, while Luton fans felt they deserved a penalty of their own after Allison took a clearance to the face. To be fair, Allison, who happens to be former Blues midfielder Fitzroy Simpson's cousin, has officiated 8 Pompey matches with varying results, 2 wins, 4 draws, and 2 losses. Some games passed without incident, but fans are already nervous about Monday's match. As one supporter put it on social media, "I can just see it now." Allison giving a dodgy penalty in the 95th minute, followed by the entire Watford squad doing fortnight dances in front of the Fratton end. The anxiety is clearly spreading, with other fans chiming in, "This is not good," and "I'm dreading it already."
Yeah, people who go to football matches to watch the game are entitled to believe that the referee doesn't know what he's doing. And it's an essential part of the game that we're able to challenge this authority that's been imposed upon us by saying things, by shouting things. Nothing more or worse than that, certainly not throwing things. Can we just go back to the incident at Derby when some apparently Pompey fans threw some objects, one of which was a mineral water bottle. I presume it was a plastic one and a small one and didn't contain too much water, but nevertheless, you don't throw things at officials. You can shout disappointment at officials. I never used to join in with the chant that began, "Who's your father, who's your father, who's your..." Remember that one? "Who's your father, referee?" I never used to join in that one. You don't know what you're doing. I think I will have enjoyed joining in with that one a little bit because that's slightly more good-humoured, isn't it? You don't know what you're doing. But bemoaning decisions that are made by the referee, approximately 50% of them go against us. And of those 50%, something like 10, 20% of them might not have been given against us in the way that they were. And so we can rail about it. A throw in that we believe was ours is given to the other way, and the person running the line hears that sort of noise, no actual insults, no insinuations that his or her parents never tied the knot, which was the thrust of that one that I said I never chanted. But the general sort of disapproval of refereeing decisions that don't go our way, the penalty we don't get, the penalty that they get, the free kick that we don't get, the free kick that they get, it's greeted with what's called howls of derision in the cheaper quarters of British popular journalism. Howls of derision greeted the referee's decision. So who'd be a referee? Well, I had a go at it, and I think I still am a qualified referee, although my licence or whatever it is has probably lapsed. But I did the course and I took the exam and I passed the exam, and I refereed officially a number of junior games, which you had to do before you were allowed to referee senior games. You had to do a year of refereeing junior games, and I gave it up about halfway through that year because of the derision, actually. I just didn't need it on a Sunday morning. Not from the players. Under 10s and under 12s, they have yet to learn how to wound verbally. But parents, the parents. Boy, did they set a good example. That with the foul-mouthed insinuations of incompetence and worse that you were getting from the touchline just didn't need it, so I didn't do it. So I got on with some other way of making my way in the world. What I'm saying is, who'd be a ref? They never used to be in the spotlight. And I'll tell you how little they were in the spotlight. Until quite recently, all we knew about the referee was you get a little player profile in your programme, and somewhere it would say ref, just ref, and then D. Arbuthnot, and then in brackets Rochdale, and that would be it. That would be it. Until he ran out, and you never noticed him. You didn't look at and see what sort of shape and size he was. Is he athletic? Is he a bit rotund and tubby? Is he cheerful? Does he look bright? Is he going to give the marginal decisions predominantly to us because it's the home crowd? We can influence the referee a little bit with our noise or not. That's all we knew about the ref. And perhaps we should go back to that. Perhaps we don't need to know that the referee for the Watford game is someone that some observers are already climbing onto social media about, and again being pessimistic, being just niggling away at everybody else's sense of enjoyment and hope and wish for fulfilment from the coming game. No. There's a guy in the middle, and he's going to make some laughing-stock decisions, is what they're coming out with already. Let's put it behind us. I'm a bit annoyed that our news-gathering team, which is artificial intelligence, in case you hadn't already worked it out for yourself, decided to highlight this as one of the stories of the day. But they have, and so we carry it, and it's for your delectation, and we run also with our own opinions about it. If you have opinions, do contact. Steve Bone on how much we've missed Callum Lang since he got injured.
I know we've had a couple of wins since then. We beat QPR, we beat Leeds, and we beat Blackburn with Lang watching from the stands, but we haven't been quite as fluent and we haven't been quite as dominant at home. And I think Lang has somewhere said something himself about wanting to play again before the season's out. So the manager was asked about it this season and said very unlikely. Because he said what you've got to consider, whereas you might, if you've got a defender who's 90% fit, you might put him in and he'll know what to do and he won't do anything silly. But he's almost suggesting that Callum Lang, as soon as you let Callum Lang start a game, he'll be tearing around the pitch and chasing everything, going in for 50-50 balls and risking doing himself another injury. And he means that in a nice way, but that is Lang, isn't it? He is that sort of player. That's what makes him what he is.
It's a fact. You could go a long way with a team of 10 Callum Langs playing outfield, couldn't you? OK, he's not the tallest. He wouldn't make a great centre-half, but he'd do the job. And as far as being a striker goes, he's not a target man, but he scores goals. He's still our top scorer so far this season. Probably it might end up our top scorer, having missed, what is it now, the last third of the season for sure, almost the last half of the season. And of course, those 4 goals against Coventry, people sometimes tack that on the end of his credentials by way of apologising for the fact that he appears to have so many goals, whereas in fact he only got 4 of those goals in the one game. But look, he found the back of the net. Doesn't matter whether it's in the first minute or the 90th minute. Doesn't matter whether 4 of them were in the same game. He scored them. He scores a variety of goals, and he does so many other things because he is everywhere. He's one of those pocket dynamos who covers every blade of grass and does it well. He tackles well. He tackles meaningfully. He tackles in the Pompey way. Yeah, there, it's been said. But he also goes round people. He goes round people. He dribbles the ball past people. We love seeing that. Second only to seeing a goal scored. We fans like a guy in blue, unless we're playing away and it's turquoise, one of our guys going past somebody, dribbling it past somebody, the old thing about dropping the shoulder and going the other way. However he does it. Doesn't work every time, can't work every time, didn't work every time for Pele. The further you are playing up front, the more you have to get used to not everything you do comes off. If you're a defender, everything you do has to come off, otherwise you might let in a goal. So it's noted. So 99% of everything a defender does works, but only 5% of everything that a player right up front does works. Otherwise the score would be 10-0 to you, or 10-all if it was the same for them down the other end of the pitch. So Callum Lang, we desperately need him back. But there's this fascinating decision that the club has to make. We think that if he was told he was OK to play, he would say he was OK to play and he'd want to be on that team sheet. That's the sort of person he clearly is. And John Messino wants 25 players out of the 25 in his squad to be like that, to want to be picked, to want to play. I'm not saying that they would feign 100% fitness when they're only 99% fit, or even less than that, because they so want to be out there on the pitch. But you know what? If you ever played football to any degree, any level at all, even if it was just for the school team or your class team, certainly if you played Sunday morning football to any level at all, you'd want to play, you want to be out there. And it's the same for these professionals. They want to be out there for a whole load of extra reasons above and beyond the fact that they love playing the game. They're playing for their future. They're playing for their family. They want the opportunity to play as well as they possibly can so that their next contract, or next club indeed, will be even better. So they're playing for a whole range of promises to themselves and to their loved ones that they're going to do this thing, they're going to play this game and they're going to play well, and they want to be out there in order to do that. So yes, Callum Lang will volunteer himself before the end of the season. John Messino and the rest of the guys, for they are guys, otherwise I'd say guys and girls. I won't say guys and gals because that's the phrase that nobody uses anymore. But anyway, I'm disappearing down my own rabbit hole here. The point I'm making is that Callum Lang apparently needs to be rested for the rest of the season, because wherever we are next season, we want a 100% fit Callum Lang firing on all cylinders and hopefully making as many appearances as we can possibly provide him with.